All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and we just had the kickoff press conference for YORDENIS Ugas versus Errol Spence Jr. for 3 belts. And Errol Spence Jr. delivers a message to people about the Terence Crawford fight. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Man, I'm amped up, man. Looking forward to a very good fight, which is going to take place on April 16th between Errol Spence Jr. and YORDENIS Ugas. Just today, they just had a press conference. A lot of really telling stuff in that press conference, so let's talk about it. But before we get into that, though, welcome back to the channel. And again, thank you guys so much for continuing to support the channel. Also, if you're not a subscriber, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos, and hit the bell icon and make sure you select all so that you can get all notifications. Also, if you are a wagering person, just like this fight that we're about to see between Errol Spence Jr. and YORDENIS Ugas, make sure that you support over there at busr.ag. And you can go to busr.ag/Fanon, and we're constantly running promotions over there that will give you extra value for your money. So make sure you guys check that out. All right, man. So first things first, Errol Spence Jr. let it be known once again what he is trying to accomplish at 147 pounds. He said he's going to be fighting YORDENIS Ugas, and when he gets done with YORDENIS Ugas, he is going to go for Undisputed against Terence Crawford. Now, he did not say Terence Crawford's name specifically, but he said, we're going to see, and he said, you do see this shirt right here, which says strap season. He said that he was going for Undisputed, right? So knowing full well who owns that WBO belt, if it is Terence Crawford at the time he wins this fight, he wants that fight with Terence Crawford. Absolutely excellent news, in my opinion, and probably the biggest thing about the press conference that that many people did not already know, because there's a lot of conversations going on about what Terence Crawford is going to do. If Terence Crawford can't get the Errol Spence Jr. fight next, how he might go to 154 to chase the Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano winner. At least in the mindset of Errol Spence Jr., Errol Spence Jr. is looking for that fight with Terence Crawford. Now, also, Steven Espinoza said something that was very interesting as well. And he was talking about the commitment to Showtime, about bringing you the best fights and legendary fights and the such. And if I had to guess, in the back of his mind, even though he's not really saying anything about it, is also the winner between Errol Spence and YORDENIS Ugas and that Undisputed Championship with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford was also mentioned by both fighters, referred to by both fighters both times when they said we're talking about, or YORDENIS Ugas, excuse me, when he said we're talking about two of the three best welterweights in the world, one or two or three of the best fighters in the world fighting in the fight. So I'm excited that whatever this happens after this fight, that at least both of those fighters have their eyes towards Undisputed. As far as what happened in the press conference, I will tell you this, and this is just very ballpark type stuff. If you feel free to disagree with it. I'm not trying to read into things too much, but just a couple observations. Number one, Errol Spence Jr. looked like he was in fantastic shape. This fight is what, another 6 weeks off? This is, yeah, another 6 weeks off. If the 16th, so that's 2 weeks in April, 4 weeks, 2 weeks in April, 4 weeks in March. The guy already looks like he's on weight, man. His face looks chiseled. His chin looks chiseled. He looks like he's in terrific shape. Clearly, this dude is not going to have any problems wearing fat suit bags and all of that stuff in the last couple weeks for the fight, you know, trying to weaken himself for the fight. One really funny moment in the press conference was when Errol Spence Jr. admitted he's like, man, I don't know if I can knock out YORDENIS Ugas. It's been a long time since I've gotten a knockout, right? So, but he said, look, he really feels like this is a different situation because, you know, he's not really blown up in weight. He's not really draining himself to make weight. He's been training, unlike, you know, training for the last 2 months before a fight. He's been training for 6 months for the fight, and he's already small. He said he doesn't have to fight. You know, he doesn't have to train with the with the rubber, with the sweatsuits on, right? The plastic bag type suits that boxers have to do to get water weight off of them. Said he doesn't have to do that. So he feels like, more that, he'll be stronger. However, I think that he is also acknowledging that he is not necessarily going for the knockout against Yordenis Ugas, because he's like, look, man, Yordenis Ugas is a warrior. The dude is going to come. He's coming to fight. I'm coming to fight. And, it's going to be a war out there. He's going to give everything. I'm going to give everything. But at the end of the day, I'm going to win the fight, right? Now, as far as with Yordenis Ugas, I'm going to tell you, man, how can I say this, man? I don't think we will see it, but I hope we do not have a Teofimo Lopez, Josh Taylor type of moments. Teofimo Lopez. Who's the other dude that has done that, man? Where you win a belt and you go kind of Hollywood, and when you're Hollywood, you kind of believe in yourself a little too much. You may lose a little focus. And the reason why I say that is that Yordenis Ugas, first of all, he's going out to a lot of fights, taking pictures. Not a big deal. Errol Spence Jr. is going to local fights too. However, in the beginning of the press conference, when Yordenis took out the world for a "We Are the World" moment, where he says, look, I'm not just into boxing, I'm into politics, I'm into social issues and all of that. And he says, can we get a moment of silence for, the political prisoners in Cuba? Can we get, a moment of silence for the people that are out there in the in Ukraine, right? And he did all of that. I thought to myself, man, dude, you better focus on this guy over here, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't, don't get all greasy, brother, because you beat Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, just like Errol Spence Jr. said, man, he's like, look, man, Manny Pacquiao is a great fighter, was a great fighter, but that don't mean anything that you beat Manny Pacquiao, because he said that's like Larry Holmes beating Ali, or, I think he might even said please forgive me if I get this wrong, Terry Norris beating an older, or let me change this so make sure I don't screw up the fighters, or Macho Camacho beating an old Sugar Ray Leonard, right? It's not the same thing when you're fighting a guy that's that far past his prime. And he's like, look, man, I ain't Manny Pacquiao. You're not about to do me like that. I'm in my prime and I can get the fight. So hopefully, Errol Spence, Yordenis Ugas, really does have his mind that he's going to be in a very, very tough fight with Errol Spence Jr. And he's got his mind set on real hungry, and not just kind of, celebrating a little bit too much. Because honestly, man, it really doesn't take that much to throw you off your game plan. Another thing that I saw where Errol Spence Jr. was next to Yordenis Ugas, even though Errol Spence Jr. had a jacket, so I'm definitely taking into account that they both had jackets on, that Errol Spence Jr. is bigger than Yordenis Ugas. Like, he's taller than Yordenis Ugas. And when you looked at his head, the size of the heads between the two, kind of like if you look at dogs, you're like, man, one guy's head is a lot bigger than the other. Errol Spence Jr. is a bigger structured guy than Yordenis Ugas. And one of the things I think really does benefit Yordenis Ugas in the Sean Porter fight, in the Omar Figueroa fight that I saw recently, in the Manny Pacquiao fight, is that he's longer and he's taller and he's bigger than a lot of guys at 147 pounds. But it didn't look like that was the case with Errol Spence. But all in all, man, I'm amped about it. I can't wait for the fight. I think it really is going to be a very, very good fight, man. It's a fight. I won't say Yordenis Ugas is what I would call a very live underdog in this fight. I favor Errol Spence Jr. to it, especially if Errol Spence Jr. is really, really sharp, which he said that he is. He's like, man, I don't think there's going to be any re-rust. I think I'm going to be very sharp. The simple fact that he's just so aggressive, I think, and he goes so hard in the fight, and Yordenis Ugas is a counterpuncher, right? But Errol Spence Jr. is good at counter punchers. It's just going to be very, very interesting. Can't wait to see it. But anyway, you let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.